What is going on, everyone? Thank you for joining the Tully Broadcasting. So, in today's video, we're going to be pretty quick. As far as my monologue goes, we're going to be pretty quick because, pretty much sadly, nothing has happened in sports. Baseball, you had the All-Star game and stuff like that. If you watch the All-Star game, good for you. I'm not watching the All-Star game. Normally, I think it's incredibly boring. I think all sports All-Star games are pretty boring, to be totally honest. It's just not the game. But that happened. I know Shohei Ohtani. He won the home run, no, Pete Alonso. He had won the home run derby. I think Shohei Ohtani was probably the favorite though. But yeah, I mean, I really didn't follow it. So like I said, this monologue's gonna be kind of short, but me and my UFC expert Kevin, we go for a very long time talking about the entire UFC 264, which happened last Saturday. When you're seeing this, and that was really the only big sporting event that happened this entire week. You had some NHL trades, which we'll go into, and then you had, the Giants have come out and talked about things with Saquon, which we'll go into. You have some Rangers rumors and stuff like that. What is important though, what is coming out next week, or actually legitimately like tomorrow, as I record this, it is gonna be coming out tomorrow. Actually, it's gonna be coming out today. I'm recording this at 12 o'clock at night on a Saturday, in the morning. It's coming out at later today. Is the list that the teams are going to have to keep. Like, so the teams for this expansion draft, which is coming up very soon as well. I think it's coming July 21st. The teams have to say, okay, these are the players that we want to protect from being drafted in the expansion draft for the Kraken. Looking at the Rangers, I think we're pretty set. I guess I'll go into that right now. We'll just go into that now. So the Rangers have a very, very, very young team. And because they have a very young team, a lot of those players are exempted from being available in the first round. So that means we can save all those players and, like, I guess you can say protect them without like saying we're protecting them. So we get to keep a lot of our players. For example, we get to keep guys like Adam Fox. We get to keep Alexei Lafreniere. We get to keep Capo Caco, Vitaly Krastov, and then we keep Keandre Miller as well, and Igor. All of those guys, and Adam Fox, if I didn't mention him already, the Norris Trophy winner, go. All those guys are all exempted from being able to be eligible to go into the Seattle Kraken, whatever expansion draft. So that leaves us to be able to protect more players that we have on our team. And as of now, we haven't made any trades yet. I know there are a couple trades that people have been saying are rumored to go, like I don't like Tarasenko is rumored. What's his name as well? I know Tarasenko, Eichel is rumored as well. A bunch of those guys are rumored to come to the Rangers. We don't know. I know Tarasenko has said that he would like to go to the Rangers with another huge list as well. I mean, he needs like every team under the face of the earth. He just doesn't want to be in St. Louis anymore. Can't blame the guy. Sorry, but so that's a thing. So that's something we have to keep our eye on. I mean, I can't really say much. I mean, listen, Tarasenko, I'd be more open to because. And I don't really know, but you probably wouldn't have to give up your entire fucking team to get him. Although he is a winger, and I don't really necessarily think we need wingers. I was talking to one of my NHL insiders, and I don't really necessarily think we need wingers. So I guess you're probably not going to go after him. Eichel, though, I would be mad if we got. And I think a lot of Rangers fans probably would be thrilled if we got Eichel. I already said it before. I've said my piece already about it in previous videos. If you want, go check them out. But yeah, so the players that are probably going to be protected, so you can protect like 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and like a goalie. So the players that are probably the forwards that are going to be protected are definitely going to be. I agree with this guy. So he thinks it's going to be, it's Lohud. They released an article about it. So he thinks it's going to be Pavel Buchnevich, Philip Hedl, Brett Howden, Chris Kreider, Artemi Panarin, Ryan Stone, Miki Zibanejad. The exposed players are going to be Colin Blackwell, Kevin Rooney, and Julian Gauthier. That stinks though for my buddy. I know as actually Julian Gauthier was just re-signed by the Rangers. So I don't know what that means as far as is he exposed, is he not exposed. But I know my buddy really likes them. He just didn't think Quinn ever really gave him a fair shot, which I think is totally fair. I thought, every once in a while you see glimpses and flashes in the game. I thought he played okay at times. So yeah, I mean I can understand that. And then Kevin Rooney and Colin Blackwell. Yes, I like them. I think they're great guys. I think they're, okay players, but I definitely thought they brought some in, especially Colin Blackwell. I think he brought some into that locker room. He was kind of like, and I know it's either him or Brand Smith. I might be running a blank, but when we had that whole fight night against the Capitals, like he did kind of play a big role in the fights and stuff like that. So I felt like was more of like the helpful, not enforcer because he's not an enforcer, but he definitely got a little physical and stuff like that. Um, Now we're gonna go into defensemen. Uh, Sorry, excuse me. We're gonna go into defensemen who I'm just trying to find it. We're gonna go into defensemen who are protected, in my opinion. They're definitely gonna get protected. So the only ones I guess are exposed are Libor Hayek, Ryan Lindgren, Jacob Tuba, and then Anthony Potato and Tony D'Angelo. Tony D'Angelo, I'm surprised he's on the fucking team. He was not liked, and they wanted to get his ass out. So when you really think about it, the top two lines are like Lindgren and Fox, and then you have Truba and Miller. You already have half that is already protected. So obviously Lindgren's going to be protected. He signed a really nice. He took a nice hometown discount. And yeah, that's fantastic. And then Jacob Truba, also they're 1,000% keeping. I think they're honestly going to make him the captain. There's rumors that him and Lindgren are up for the captain spot. And then Lieber Heiser is a good little young defenseman that they have to try to protect, and I'm fine with that. D'Angelo blows and is a scumbag, and people hate him on the team. And then DeBetto also like sucks as well. No offense to him, but he does. So you have that as well. So I'm gonna go with that's probably gonna be it. And then protected, it's definitely gonna be Alexander Georgiev for the goalie. We're gonna protect. Like I said, we don't have to protect Igor because he's young. And then exposes Keith Kinklad. Again, he came in a couple times for the games. He's a whatever player, not a big deal. But he came in a couple. He's like a third string goalie, pretty good goalie. But the Rangers have a really good goalie coach, and I'm not worried about that at all. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I bet is probably gonna happen. I bet we're probably gonna lose D'Angelo, which we were losing anyway. The better, which we're gonna lose anyway. And then sadly, we're probably gonna lose, or their guys that are exposed are guys like Colin Blackwell. I bet we lose D'Angelo. He's a good player. He's just not meant for the locker room. And then Blackwell, out of Blackwell, Rooney, and who's the other guy he mentioned? Blackwell, Rooney, and one more. Pulling up right now. And Gauthier. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost one of those three. I don't think we're gonna lose all three, which is good. I'm cool keeping two of the three. I would like to keep Julian Gauthier a little more because I'd rather I'm cool losing Kevin Rooney. I'd rather keep Blackwell and Gauthier than and lose Kevin Rooney. That'd be my perfect scenario. But it's fantastic they were able to keep our entire team pretty much intact without having to worry about any players going because we have such a young team. This team is extremely young, and that's why I've always said I don't want to make these crazy trades for Eichel when we have such a young team. I don't think it's necessary. All right, now let's go into the rest of the league. So I'll go into. I'm not really going to go into the NHL trades. Like Duncan Keith got traded to the Oilers. That's interesting, and Letty just got traded to the Detroit Red Wings. That's pretty interesting as well. I really don't know enough about the game yet. I'm trying to. I don't know enough about the game to be like, this is a good trade, this is a good bad trade, so on. I know the Spit and Chicklets guys, if you want to hear their opinion, they like the Duncan Keith trade. I'm excited to see more trades. I know trades are definitely coming out real soon. But yeah, I mean, that's really my opinion about that. I don't know enough. I feel bad, but I'm definitely this time next year, you'll be hearing me give real opinions about these things. I feel like I'll know a lot more. But now let's go to the Giants. They said that they've come out and said they're going to slow down. Like what's his name is not taking as many reps. Like Saquon Barkley is not going to take as many reps, and I think that's the right thing to do. I like Saquon. I think Saquon is a good player, but he needs to relax the reps. We need to ease him in because that ACL is a dangerous thing to come back from. I know they say science is better and that they fixed it, but the ACL I'm too afraid of. I'm just too afraid of it. I don't want to lose some fucking guy over some stupid games. Who's probably gonna be he's a franchise player for us. So yeah, I think that's the right thing to do. I knew they were gonna do that anyway. It just confirms it. So yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to go into there except that. Another little neat thing too, that happened was he said that he's gonna put all of his money that he gets in endorsements into Bitcoin. So I don't know how that's gonna work out. I'm not on the Bitcoin wave. I'm not on really any of this crypto shit. I don't really know that stuff to be anyway either. Like by the time when I get like a normal job, I'm just gonna set up like a 401k and be like, all right, cool. hook me up. Like I'm not really into the stock market, to be honest with you. I don't really care that much about it. I'm more into like just watching sports and stuff and following sports. I know a lot of people that are from school and stuff like that love it and like follow all this stuff. And like I know my one buddy, he like invested in this stock that was like in early last summer. He invested in this stock that like that sells like menthol or cigarettes that don't have menthol in it. And then like when Biden became president, the stock went like incredibly high because Biden like made menthol cigarettes like illegal. So I'm just not built like that. I don't know. But I know that's definitely pretty cool for him. Congrats to him. Um, so yeah, I could care less about following that stuff. So, but that's pretty neat. I hope that works out for him. I know they say that's the currency of the future. If it is, great. If it's not, sorry, but I'm sure you're gonna have tons of money anyway. Um, Okay, so now on to the NFL news, and this is going to be kind of more of like a sad NFL news. Richard Sherman's in a lot of trouble. He's in deep shit. He's in deep shit, and Dwayne Haskins, I guess, is in deep shit too. Not him personally, but he. So we'll go with Dwayne Haskins thing because it's a little more smaller. I guess he got beat up by his wife, and like I think he like chipped his tooth and everything. His wife tried punching him and shit like that. Really fucked up, really sad. Domestic violence is a really sad topic that sadly happens way too much in this country. Um, but yeah, I hate to be depressing here, but I mean it's just news. That happened. I'm not really sure what the charges are. I'm not even sure if they're still together. Not a lot has came out about that, but the Richard Sherman thing, a lot has come out about that. So he's getting charged with burglary and domestic violence, and I saw like a bunch of other like misdemeanors and stuff like that. I think he got into hit and run too. A lot of things have happened to Richard Sherman. I wish the guy good luck. I really don't know. But there is a video that's released. I'm sure you've seen. There is a video that's released of his like ring of like his. So he tried to like break into his like in-laws house. Um, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. If you've seen it, it's pretty wild. He's like trying to punch in the door and everything, and it's a little scary actually. To be totally honest, especially when you know this because a professional athlete who's really good too. It's a little sad. It's almost like watching like an angel fall and everything. He is like a fantastic player. He was a fantastic player. I loved him, especially because I loved him because like, he left it all on the field. He talked a bunch of shit, and that was cool. And when the game was over, he was like, "All right, cool." He was okay for except that one Crabtree game, little nuts. But off the field, like he seemed like a pretty normal guy and like a nice guy, very educated, went to Stanford. So it's just sad. I mean, I wonder how much CTE comes involved. I hate to speculate, but you probably have to think alcohol is probably involved. Um, like a lot of things are probably involved in this, and it's sad. I mean, these things happen every day. These things happen all the time. We just don't know about it because it's Joe Schmo. But this guy's Richard Sherman. He's a public figure. Everyone knows about him, and they're gonna talk about it. He got released from jail, although he was not supposed to post bail. He wasn't allowed bail or something like that, which is pretty intense. Usually allowed bail at least. So he had that whole thing going on for him, but the judge didn't let him out because they knew his record. They knew that that's not the kind of guy he is, and this is not really the person he is, and that he's a different person. So I mean, that's great for him. Let's see how that works out. Uh, but yeah, this is again a sad topic, a sad NFL news. I wish I had better NFL news, but that's really been it. I mean, we're getting to the dead period, although very soon. I mean, these last couple weeks have been dead period time, but very soon is the NFL, especially preseason. Cannot wait to watch these young players play. And yeah, I'm just terribly excited. I'm really excited. I know we're at the end of my monologue, but like as you can see, like I'm not in my studio. Again, I'm not in my studio because my sister right now has her friends downstairs, and the studio's in my basement. So my sister's got her friends over and they're in the basement. So yeah, I sadly can't be in the studio, but um yeah, I mean, I hope you guys understand. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's still pretty cool. My room's pretty cool. I got like all Giants posters, Giants Ave, Tully banner. Yeah, if you watch Game of Thrones, the real goat, LT. So another good. I got a bunch of goats. Breaking Bad, Galway's Flag. It's my family's from. Joe Rogan, Abe Lincoln, great president. So I got a bunch of cool things. And yeah, I mean this is pretty much gonna be my monologue. Now we're gonna go into the UFC expert, and if you think he's not the UFC expert, you're capping. And I'll tell you why you're capping, because when this video comes out, Kevin would have already beat the shit out of a bunch of people. You're gonna hear in this video that or actually no, before me and him recorded our interview, um, he had told me that he's gonna be doing tomorrow or today, Saturday. When this video comes out, he's gonna have done like some like jujitsu. He's in like a jujitsu thing, so he's gonna like do a jujitsu tournament, and the only way you win is by submission. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. You're gonna be seeing a shitload of videos of this kid cracking skulls and breaking ankles and breaking knees, and he's legit. I'm telling you, he's pretty good. So I'm definitely be posting those videos and stuff like that. I won't be posting them in this video, but when he sends them to me, I will put them on my Twitter. I'll put them on my Instagram. I'll put it on my YouTube. Everything. I'll try to get him out there because he is a good fighter. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I mean, we did go on for like a little late, but I mean, again, like if you want to listen to these videos, like listen to these videos like in short spurts, and just kind of like listen to them like while you're going to your car or something like that, like just something to do in the car. That's what I do when I listen. I don't listen to myself obviously, but I listen to like part of my take and stuff like that. Like when I do a long car ride, I'll just listen to that, or like when I'm going to like go to the store, I'll listen to that, or if I'm running like an errand, or if I'm just doing some shit around the house, I'll listen to like a podcast. Do the same thing with me. I know I'm probably not as entertaining as those guys, but I'm pretty good. I think. I'm something. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying. I'll send you off to me and Kevin interview right now. Peace, everyone. All right, guys. So now that obviously we just had my monologue, and now we're into the actual interview with Kevin. Like I said, the UFC expert. And if you guys don't believe me, we're gonna have some clips of Kevin this week. Kevin's got a big fight card this week coming up. By himself. He's got a big tournament for jiu-jitsu. It's actually a lot of fun. I'm making sure that those go in when I see the wins. But yeah, so we're gonna go over the overall UFC 264 card, a couple fights. Obviously, I'm not gonna go over like all 20 or 25 fights, but we're gonna go over the main big ones. Kevin was really looking to watch the Ryan Hall fight. He likes the jiu-jitsu guy a lot. Didn't work out too well. They were also going to go over the O'Malley fight, and then the top three, which are the Hardy fight, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and the big one, Dustin Poirier, which we'll go a lot into because I have a lot to talk about that. But let's go into the starter, which is obviously going to be the Ryan Hall fight. A little disappointing by you, but I mean, listen, you got to understand the guy's he's like 37 or something like that. He's an old guy. And I mean, it's tough, but your jiu-jitsu boy didn't win this one. What happened?
That's what really sucks is because he's so old, and like the thing about him has been like the narrative has been like, oh, nobody wants to fight him because like he's just gonna go for your legs and like break your knee, and like he's not like that big of a draw, so you're not gonna. It's a high risk, low reward situation.
Yeah.
But clearly, it's kind of the opposite. It's low risk, medium reward because you get a win on your fight, or you win a win on your record. But Ilya Topuria, I've never heard of him, but he looked fantastic. I don't think it was, to be honest, I didn't think it would be that hard to look. Based on his performance, I don't think it was that hard to fight him because Ryan Hall can do two things. He could throw a spinning heel kick, and then he could go for an Imanari roll.
Yeah, and just do jiu-jitsu on the ground.
Yeah, no, he like that's what he kept on doing. He kept on like I don't know if you watched, but he like literally would bend over like an old man and fall on the ground and like try and roll into his legs.
Yeah.
But that did not work out clearly. It kind of seems like he's a one-trick pony now, because literally all he did well was throw a round kick, and he didn't even do the Imanari roll well, which is very disappointing because that's his number one thing,
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing about him is, which is so special, is because like in jujitsu, in sport jujitsu, not like UFC and shit, like the new thing is like leg locks, like that's always been like shunned kind of, and now it's like that's the evolution of the game. And like Ryan Hall is like a huge leg locker. Like I don't know his jujitsu record, but like that's his main game. And it did not work out, so he's definitely gonna have to go back to the drawing board. It's not a good look.
Do you think he'd have time to go back to the drawing board, being that he's like 30-something years, 35,
No,
36?
like he's probably based off that fight, that's about as good as he's gonna get. Like he's probably gonna win. He could win a couple more fights, but I don't think he's gonna win a championship. Like back to what I was saying, like that's what sucks about like how he sat out for so long and he's so old. Like he's Tony Ferguson's age. So like he probably hasn't taken too much damage, huh?
Why'd he sit out?
No, he just nobody. He didn't have a fight. Like he didn't have a fight for so long. Like he was on the McGregor Tough. Like he was on the Ultimate Fighter when McGregor was coaching, and like he has had like a couple fights since then. Like and there's been I don't know, the last like couple years he hasn't fought. And he's old as shit. So like it just is disappointing. I thought he was a really talented guy. Maybe he could turn it around though. I don't know, but it didn't look very good at all for him. It was an awful performance for him.
Yeah, it was
But
definitely.
that's one of those, you got to learn from that. He learned a lot of things from that loss. So hopefully
Yeah.
he does good with it. But Ilya, not to focus on Ryan Hall too much. I was just rooting for him, but Topuria looked really good. I mean, he's undefeated, obviously. He looked really good on the feet. And he was denying the takedowns really well. I don't think it was that hard, but again, he did really well. So that was really a big win for Topuria and a really big loss for Ryan Hall.
Do you think this
Kind of
puts
took away some of
Duparia
that
probably in
mystique.
like? Do you think this puts Duparia probably like in a top 10 or top 15 kind of fight?
No, I think they're both unranked right now, but probably top 15. Yeah, he'll probably like start to enter the rankings now because Ryan Hall's been like one of those dark horses of the division. It's like he's unranked and nobody really fights him, but he's still a scary dude.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big win for Topuria, and he looked really good.
Yeah. All right. So now off to that fight. That was the prelim card. Now we're going to the main card, which is obviously Sugar Sean O'Malley just destroying Chris
Yeah.
Moutinho, just murdering him. Like I watched that fight, and it was not even close for the entire time. It was just punches after punches after punches for 3 full rounds. It was awful. It ended with like the last 30 seconds, but he was murdering this guy. I mean, I'll get you
It
this.
was the most landed strikes by a fighter in like the bantamweight division ever in a
Yeah.
fight. So like in the bantamweight division, Sean O'Malley just set the record for strikes landed in a fight, which is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, he had 230 total strikes, and which his percentage was at 72.3. And then he had another 230. Oh, wow. Okay, so he had all of his total strikes were all significant. He had 230
Damn,
strikes
that's
and
crazy.
230 significant strikes.
He
So,
was teeing off on him the whole time. He
oh,
looked like he was in complete control.
yeah, the entire time.
Do you
I,
know that his opponent, this is a different opponent, like this guy stepped up on over a week's notice, because his other opponent dropped out.
I thought
And
that,
Moutinho,
right?
yeah, Moutinho's not even in the UFC. Like he was
Oh,
just signed. Like they'll do that. Like if they need somebody short notice, they'll call somebody who's not in the UFC if nobody from the UFC wants to fight. And this guy picked up. But this is one of those fights where if you saw Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar, I can't really think of any others off the top of my head. I know there's one recently. But it's one of those fights where a guy just like does so like Sean O'Malley did so well, and Chris Motino got his fucking ass beat the whole time, but he kept on like moving forward and he kept on throwing, and he was still there were a couple times where like O'Malley was like backing up and Motino had caught him a little bit. I mean, like I don't think O'Malley was ever in any real danger of losing, but like Motino looked good. Like this is a big one for Sean O'Malley. Obviously, the guy is like the other guy's unranked. It's not going to propel him super high up in the rankings, but being Sean O'Malley, he will he'll probably get a ranked fighter next fight. If he chooses to do so. A lot of people think he's picking his opponents, trying to find easy fights first, build up to it. But this is definitely one of those fights where the loser had also came out of this looking good.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, especially the kids not on the show and not on the UFC. I mean, it's good for him to get a fight, especially like Sugar Sean O'Malley, like, where everyone's watching. Everyone wants to watch the kid.
yeah,
So now this gets you only exposure. I mean, and it shows he can take a punch.
yeah. It's not even like it was it was like Ryan Hall's opponent stepped up late and Ryan Hall beat the shit out of the other guy, and he still looked good. This is a big draw in Sean O'Malley. Like you're right. Like this is a really good look for that guy because he got a lot of eyes on him. It's good. It's like a big performance for Sean O'Malley, and Moutinho was a part of that. Like he played a role. He was the guy who let Sean O'Malley, he didn't let him tee off on him and let him look good, but he was a necessary component in breaking the record for strikes. Like it wouldn't have happened without Moutinho because he could have went down or he could have he could have got knocked out, but he kept on going forward and
Uh-huh.
he was a part of the performance too.
Yeah.
And I think people realize that. So I think it is a loss for Moutinho, but it looks good. I don't know what his Dana White and the UFC's plans are for him. But that he definitely came out of that with a stock going way up. And Sean O'Malley, I expected him to win. I think if he lost, that was like a terrible look. But I didn't really expect much less from Sean O'Malley.
No, especially because I was looking at the odds and stuff like that. He was like a minus 700 favorite. Like, it was
Yeah.
ridiculous. And I was like, holy shit. Like, I was thinking about maybe doing something with him, but I was like, oh my God, no. Like, that's
Yeah,
absurd.
you wouldn't make any, like, it would be hard to make. You have to pay so much money to make a little bit of money. So
Mhm.
that wouldn't even be worth it.
No, it wasn't worth it at all. It wasn't worth it at all. Okay.
What
So
did you think about the stoppage really quick? Did you see it?
the stoppage where they just
Yeah.
waved it off.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, he wasn't going to win that fight, but like, I don't think that specific. I don't know, because there were a couple times in the Max Holloway Calvin Kattar fight, to go back to that, where Calvin Kattar, like, it was put on medical suspension because he got hit so fucking bad, like, so many
Yeah.
times. He got his fucking ass beat. Excuse my language. But so that maybe this prevented him from getting further damage, but it was
I mean,
30 seconds left in the fight. So
Yeah.
it's like, maybe not.
Yeah.
Could have stopped it earlier, but I wasn't a huge fan of the stoppage, but you know what? O'Malley's going to win the fight anyway, so I didn't think it was a huge deal.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and maybe they're trying to like learn their lessons from the Cater guy, from Calvin Cater,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and like what happened to him. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if it's another 30 seconds, like let the kid at least like stand in the octagon. And
Yeah.
I mean, the worst comes. I know it's probably bad for this kid's brain and everything, but like if he gets knocked out, like he just brings eyes to the UFC in the fight game, and that's what the fight game is bringing eyes.
That's what Dana wants. He wants knockouts.
Exactly. So I don't know. I guess again, it is what it is, but not a big deal. Do you really think I'm confused? So what do you think? Do you think he's just picking his opponents, or do you think he's gonna wait for that big fight? Like he should be getting a big fight soon, right? I mean,
He should. He's a huge name, especially for being an unranked guy. He's probably the biggest unranked name in the UFC. But like, that's what people say that he picks his opponents, which is like, I'm not like super opposed to that, because they did, like, I don't know if they rushed him putting him against Cheeto Vera, Marlon Vera, the guy who beat him, because they were supposed to fight earlier on. But if he had beat Cheeto Vera, he would have like fought Jose Aldo. He would have fought somebody big. So maybe he was like, I don't want to lose again, and I want to build my stock up more, because after this fight, like, I don't know if you saw his Instagram, he's posted pictures like Logan Paul and like Jared Leto and like the Marshmallow guy and shit like that. So I think he's trying to get his stock to rise a little bit more, which isn't like a terrible idea, I guess. But I would like to see him fight somebody bigger, because he talks a lot of shit.
yeah.
And he's a really talented guy. Like, he proved that last night. So I would definitely like to see him fight a high ranked opponent, but I don't know. We'll see.
We will see. We'll definitely see in the next coming fight cards. Okay, let's go on to the next fight. Greg Hardy. It's always great to watch Greg Hardy get that, and he got fucking demolished by Tai
Tuivasa.
Tuivasa, yeah.
That was a good
name, but destroyed. And then worse too, the man did a booty, which is gross.
Yeah, that was awesome.
1 minute knockout. And I was a little upset about that because I did put money on Greg Hardy, and it didn't.
Oh, really?
It did not work out for me. I didn't really understand. Definitely a mistake on my part, but he destroyed him, and then doing the booty on him is gross to watch in general. But it's
savage.
He's sick.
Yeah, no, I don't know about you, but I guess not. I guess you would disagree, or you would have disagreed, but I kind of went into this thinking this was going to be the fight that Greg Hardy would lose. Because he's been fighting some, I don't know, he hasn't really fought anybody super notable. Like, he's 7-4, but he hasn't fought it. Like I said, like, he hasn't fought anyone of note. And Tai Tuivasa, I think he was on the Contender Series, and he's pretty good. And this is definitely the best guy that Greg Hardy has fought so far. So I was kind of going into this at least hoping, because every fight I kind of hope that Greg Hardy loses, because, not a good guy.
Yeah.
Say the least, not a great guy. But I was, out of all the disappointments tonight, this was a nice little, like, it's a nice little sweetness on top of the shit cake,
Yeah.
like this was a great, like, it was a classic heavyweight fight. They were swinging great. That's what Greg Hardy does. No discrimination of gender. He'll swing. And Tai Tuivasa also does that, but he's way more technical. Yeah, he beat the shit out of the
That's
girlfriend.
a hit.
Slammed the toilet bowl on her head and threw her on her bed at AKs and beat her up.
Wow.
Yeah, no, dude, it was messed up. I don't know if you've.
I never really actually read the report, like what he did. I just knew he beat the shit out of his
No,
wife.
he he took the toilet bowl, put her on the toilet, and fucking slammed the toilet bowl on her head, and beat her up on like a bed of AKs or something. Definitely not a good guy.
Yeah, good. Yeah, interesting.
I don't know where he comes from, but he's probably came from a not nice area, saw some not great things. But tonight kind of got what he deserved. And
100%.
obviously Greg Hardy's a great athlete, and that's why I think he's been able to beat all these like guys who aren't, as good. But he'd face a bigger name in Tai Tuivasa, obviously a really good striker, the boot master. So I kind of expected this, and it was really just a classic, entertaining heavyweight fight, slugfest. So that was definitely the best. That was my favorite fight of the night. That and O'Malley, but this was up there.
100%. 100%. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the second fight, which is the Gilbert Burns Stephen Thompson fight, which we were both rooting for Stephen Thompson.
Oof.
No, I don't really remember this. I don't think I was really watching this fight.
Boring.
What is your thoughts on this? Did
right,
go to decision?
It did go to decision. This is one thing that I like. It's kind of a new wave movement. I don't know. Like, I think co-main should be 5 rounds, because obviously when you have a title contention fight, like if Stephen Thompson won this fight, he would have fought for the title, and Gilbert Burns now he's gonna fight like Leon Edwards or something. But it's still a big important fight for the welterweight division. So I don't understand why co-mains aren't 5 rounders. They're usually pretty important fights. But this fight, Stephen Thompson obviously destroyed Gilbert Burns on the feet. Nobody can touch that man on the feet. Beautiful to watch. Maybe my favorite fighter to watch. Definitely top 5 because nobody really fights like him. He's got a crazy karate style. But Gilbert Burns did the smart thing. He would get tagged on the feet. Stephen Thompson landed some nice side kicks to the chest. I don't know if you ever seen him do that, but like it's beautiful. But Gilbert Burns, played smart. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's not Stephen Thompson, the undefeated karate kickboxer.
Yeah.
He's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's got incredible jiu-jitsu. So
he's Brazilian too, right?
Yeah, he's from Brazil.
Yeah, so
jiu-jitsu, he's a grappler. He took him down, and kind of, Stephen Thompson, I don't know. It was really hard because he's never been taken down this many times in a fight. Like Gilbert Burns, I think set his own record. I don't think it was a record against Stephen Thompson being taken down. I think it was a record for Gilbert Burns's most takedowns in a fight, which was 3. But it was still disappointing because Stephen Thompson, he would play some good defense, but Burns also ultimately like pretty much had him locked down when he would take him down.
Yeah.
And it wasn't super entertaining, a little bit of ground and pound, a little bit of like advancement of position and stuff. But it was kind of just a shit fight, like a boring fight, just because it sucks because Gilbert Burns did what he's supposed to do, but nobody really wants to watch like wrestling and jiu-jitsu against a karate guy.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks when like one guy just lays on the other one. But to be honest, like Stephen Thompson still looked good on the feet, as he ever has. Like he's still the best striker in the division by far. And what is he, like 38? He's an old guy.
I'll get it for sure.
In fantastic shape. I think it's 38. But he's still in fantastic shape. Like he's probably Yoel Romero's not in the UFC anymore, but he's probably the best old guy. He's at 38.
Yep, 38. Good job.
Yeah. He's probably the best old guy in the UFC. And I still think, he's only 16-5. I still think he's got a little bit left more in him, but it just sucks because this was the perfect timing for him. Because if he won this fight, there aren't too many big. I mean, they're doing Usman versus Colby too. But besides that, I don't think there's too many big fights in the welterweight division. I think Thompson would have been the perfect guy to stick in there. And the parity because they had Masvidal twice. Gilbert Burns already fought Usman, so I feel like this would have been like a good spot for Wonder Boy to be in if he won.
So you would
But
have wanted Wonder Boy
unfortunately,
to this one, you're saying?
what was that?
You would
I
have
wanted,
wanted.
yeah, yeah. I thought he would get a title shot after this because he's still like, he's elite. Um, he is old, but he's still like super elite, the best striker in the division.
Yeah.
They've been kind of treating, which I don't like. They've been kind of treating him like a gatekeeper recently. They had him fight Vincente Luque a couple of years ago when he was coming up. They had him fight Neil Magny. And I don't know who else he's fought, but it hasn't been a bunch of big names like Gilbert Burns or like anyone else. So this was a big fight for Thompson, but kind of sucks that he lost. But Gilbert Burns looked really good. He did what he needed to do, which I can't really blame him for, even though it was boring. It's fighting. It's not going to be all like, knocking each other out.
Yeah.
But Burns did what he needed to do to get done, to get the win. Even though
Where
it's
do you think he
disappointing for
goes?
me, good on Burns.
Where do you think he goes from this after he lost?
Who, Wonder Boy?
Yeah.
I think they'll probably stick him with top 10 opponent because I don't know what he's ranked right now.
Yeah.
After the fight, I don't know if they've updated the rankings, but I think it was 5 going into it or something like that. So they're probably going to give him a top 10 guy, 10, 9, 8, maybe
Yeah.
even top 12.
I guess,
Because that's how they've been treating him.
let me get the rankings out right now. I'm pulling them up
All right.
right now. So
Um,
we have Stephen Thompson is at 7.
oh, Jesus, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give me the top 12?
So there's Stephen Thompson is at 7, then Vicente Luque at 8, Neil Magny at 9, Nate Diaz at 10. I'm gonna butcher this. Li Jinglian at 11.
I don't. Oh, late. Oh, is he
Chinese
some sort
guy.
of eight? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
know that guy. He's good.
And Santiago, another one.
Santiago Ponzinibbio.
There we go.
He might end up fighting him. He's probably gonna fight someone lower in the rankings than him. Because who's number 6? Is it like? It's probably in the top 6. Probably Masvidal, Covington, Burns, Edwards, and like somebody else.
Michael Chiesa.
Michael Chiesa, yeah, maybe he could fight Chiesa, but I don't think.
That's a
I think
that's a
fight,
6 though. That's a 6. Michael Chiesa at 6.
yeah, but like that would be like if I could make the fight, I would make him fight Chiesa. Give him somebody up in the rankings. But I think Chiesa. Who's in that? All right, so Colby has a fight. I think Edwards and Burns are gonna fight. Maybe
That's good.
Chiesa could fight Masvidal or someone else. I don't know, but that's a potential matchup. That's best case scenario for Thompson.
Yeah.
But it's probably going to end up being somebody lower in the rankings. And I don't know when he's going to get a title shot next, but I think he's still, regardless if he gets it or not, I think he's still like a contender. And I still think he's, he can win a title regardless of how old he is. But,
you're
good
right,
look for Burns.
especially because he has so much time on his hands. You know what I mean? Being so young, or no, being old, but having only like 20 fights in whatever years. Like
20
he's been
fights in
around for a while.
MMA, and like he was undefeated in kickboxing, and he definitely took some punishment. I know he fucked up his knee really bad,
Yeah.
but like he probably doesn't have crazy CTE because he's undefeated. It counts for something. But it's not. This is kind of like with Ryan Hall. It's like a fantastic talent, and like they're old, and I'd like to see them win something, but it's kind of unlikely because of how old they are.
Yeah.
But I think best case scenario for Wonder Boy is Chiesa, but it's probably gonna be somebody lower. And then I think Burns is gonna fight
Edwards.
could probably Edwards because they want Edwards just came off the Diaz win, and they're not gonna give Burns the next title. They're not gonna make him wait to fight Kamaru Usman or Colby, whoever wins, when he just fought for the title a couple of fights ago. So I think they'll make him fight Edwards, and that'll validate Edwards too, because he just fought Nate Diaz. You're not gonna give him a title shot off of fighting Nate Diaz.
Yeah.
So I think that makes sense. But we'll see. You don't really know.
You never know. But see, I like the idea. So you think maybe Burns fights Edwards, and the winner of that fights the winner of Covington.
Yeah, I would say so, because Burns, or Edwards. We'll start with Edwards. he's he's kind of like the Tony Ferguson of the division a little bit. Like he's on like a 12 fight winning streak, something like that, and he hasn't been given a title shot. I think he has maybe like I don't know about Usman, but he might have like the highest winning streak in the division.
Uh-huh.
So they need to. He hasn't fought anybody crazy. He hasn't. I don't know how many top 5 guys he's beaten. So this would be a good test for him because they're kind of pushing him. But they could, what they could do? They could do Masvidal versus at Leon because Masvidal gave him the 2-piece in the soda after the Ben Askren fight. I don't know if you ever seen that.
No.
It's literally after the Ben Askren fight. Masvidal is getting interviewed, and then like on the side, like Leon Edwards says some shit, and then like they like go back and forth, and like Masvidal leaves the interview and goes face to face and like punches him and shit. It's pretty cool.
Damn.
It's pretty funny. And then there's like 3-piece in a soda. But there's like history there, so they could fight. But I think if you want to set Leon up for the title shot, I think you give him Burns, and then Burns. I think he's good enough to get another title shot. Because he did really well in the first round against Usman. I think he rocked him. So I think he's good enough, but I think they just want to give him like another fight, to not have because Jorge like Usman just fought Jorge and he's gonna fight Colby again. You don't want to give him 1,000 rematches. I think add some difference, whatever. So I think they'll give Burns a fight, one more fight, and then maybe if he wins that fight, he could fight for the title. So I think Burns versus Leon Edwards makes the most sense for the number 1 contender fight.
Word. Okay, so now we're on to our last fight. Last but definitely not least. This is going to go, and this is going to be a lot. Because all right, listen, I don't know about you, but I'm definitely a Conor dick rider. Like, I love Conor. I think I loved all of the, like, all of the extracurricular stuff. I loved all of the shit talking, especially when I was at his prime. Like, me and Matt were going over when he was talking all the smack to Aldo, and he legitimately won the fight before they even walked into the
Yeah, no, literally.
When he was like, Vitalia,
Yeah.
and then he was like talking.
You know what that means? Pussy.
Yeah, and he was talking to his daughter, and he was like, "Tell him I'm his daddy." Tell him
that wasn't his daughter. That was his translator.
I thought that was his daughter. So like doing that shit, and then just stealing and just everything.
That's his greatest performance, like out of the ring and in the ring. That's arguably his best performance.
And then like red panties night, and then just everything. But all of that was so much fun from like in like 2016, 2017, and 2018. I think it just started to decline, especially with the Mayweather thing. Because I love watching, like, I used to call them like highlight clips of Conor McGregor talking shit to other people. When Jeremy Stevens was like, right here, I'm the hardest. And then
that's the best line ever.
He's like, who the fuck is that?
That's the best line.
Electric. He's like, and he also he's like looking backwards, like who is this guy? Like genuinely, he had no clue who he was.
Like that's probably the worst sunning in history. That might be the worst in history.
There's literally nothing you can say after that. like Jeremy Stevens was like, you know me.
He could have like, you know who I am? And he's like, who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
And he did. The thing is, he did know who he was, but he was like, you know what? I'm gonna shit on you right now. And he
exactly.
He had that power. That's what you're saying. He was that powerful with his words.
And it was so perfect. But then once like and here's what's been my thing. Once the Mayweather thing happened, I always thought that was like a little too forced. Like when they had those like one-on-one shit talking thing, I always thought those were like a little cringy and a little too forced. But I was willing to step away from it. I was willing to accept it. And then he goes into Khabib and he goes back at it, and even harder with the religious shit, making fun of his family, all this other stuff.
That's some kind of racist stuff too.
Oh,
borderline racist stuff,
dude.
Cancelable stuff.
Like this. I'll never forget this too. This reporter like asked said like happy like Ramadan or something. So he like said
assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, he said that, and then he was like, "So Connor, how's your whiskey thing going?" Right after, and then he was like, "You can't." He's like, Khabib was like, "You can't say like you can't talk about."
Oh yeah, he's like, "You can't congratulate about whiskey and say assalamu alaikum." He's like, "What are you gonna do then? Slap him then?" Slap. All about afterwards, like a fucking madman.
Yeah,
insane person.
Yeah, so that was amazing. But then he lost that fight, and he lost pretty bad. Although he did win a round, he did lose that fight.
Yeah.
But you still like, all right, listen, it's Khabib. We'll go on, and then we go to Cerrone. He beats Cerrone, and it was a good win. Congrats. And then these last two Poirier fights, he loses to Poirier pretty bad. Won the first round. I thought that first fight,
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
slept in the second fight, and a bad sleep, and like he was.
Oh, that was like that did not look like McGregor.
No, and the memes too, which is bad if I'm like on the ground like that.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Did you see the chain that Logan
dude,
Paul has?
I don't
Jake Paul, whatever.
talk
Yeah.
about that.
No, don't even mention them. Don't
I cannot wait until Tyron baptizes him because he's like talking all this shit, and then Tyron it was perfect by Tyron. He was like, you're from Robbie Lawler, Carlos Condit, like all these all time legends.
Yeah.
I fought, and like he's like, I'm a Hall of Famer. Like who you are, Hall of Famer YouTube. I'm a Hall of Famer of the fight game, bud. Like I'm a great. Like I don't know who you think you're talking to. So that
you see that they just shook hands on whoever loses has to get a tattoo of the other one, which is like I think Tyron Woodley might have been like, you know what, I'm gonna try now. I'm gonna actually like really try now, like this is a UFC fight. So I really hope I see that.
I like listen. Okay, so we'll
we go back to that. We'll
go back to that because that actually is a little interesting too about the fight.
That can be a little bonus at the end.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll finish it with Connor. So then Connor, then this last fight, I even still like everyone's saying that Connor like lost outright, but I really honestly thought that he was kind of in it. Especially his ground game was really good. He got into a couple good like a couple good submissions, like a couple good like chokes and everything. And I thought like guillotine. I got him to a guillotine, and I really thought for a second I was like, this is not a bad fight.
No, I 100% agree. Like everyone's like Michael Bisping came out. He's like, oh, it's a 10-8. Everyone's saying it was a 10-8 round. Yeah. Are you on fucking crack? Yeah. Did you not watch the fucking fight? Everyone thinks that because McGregor lost, like because McGregor talks shit and he lost, that he sucks dick and he's not good at fighting. Did you not watch the fight? Yeah. Did you not pay attention? He looked fantastic on the feet. He absolutely won most of the exchanges on the feet. He did get rocked one time and he clinched up, but like, you know, that happens. You're in a fight.
You're like Poirier. Like Poirier's
absolutely beat him on the feet. Until Poirier took him down, he won the round. And even on the ground, I would make the argument that he still won the round, you know, minus, you know, breaking his fucking leg in half.
Yeah.
I would say that he still like won the round. And I get this kind of a stretch. You can totally argue the other side, but I think it's still arguable that Connor won because he dominated on the feet. He got taken down. Dustin hit him with some nice elbows. Dustin hit him with some crazy, like some big elbows. But did you not see? I know you saw it, but did you? People who think Connor got 10-8'd, did you not see those elbows from guard? Did you not see him hitting those elbows? Nobody throws elbows like that except Tony Ferguson on their back. And Conor McGregor is one of those two people. He was rocking him with elbows. You could see it by the way that he would like adjust and grapple after. Poirier did not like those. Okay, he did not like getting elbowed in the head 6 times consecutively. Okay, I can tell you that right now. I don't care if he was on top, and I don't care if he was throwing elbows too. Those elbows hurt Connor. Those elbows hurt Poirier too. Okay, so don't be talking about how he got 10-8'd. And that guillotine, that was really upsetting because it's the same thing that happened to Tyron Woodley in the Usman fight, or not the same thing, because Woodley would go for the guillotine and then he dropped down waiting for the big finish, and then he would just get dominated the whole fight. You know, this was a little bit different. Connor went for the guillotine, and you know, I'm not a huge fan of. I mean, the guillotine is it's probably I think it's like the second or third most common submission in the UFC, probably behind armbar and rear naked choke, but like it's like, you know, you got to really have it right to get it because you can easily headlock someone. Everyone can do that, but it's harder to choke someone.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. And what he did, you know what, you want to grab it? That's fine. He could have finished it on the feet. But the biggest thing was when he went for the guillotine, tried to sink it in, then he dropped down. That was the biggest mistake. He should have tried to, at least in my opinion, I think McGregor should have tried to finish it on the feet because you could totally do that. That's like a legit technique. But like he didn't. That just set him up for all the bad shit that happened because it was after that kind of burnt his arms out and then he started getting elbowed in the head. I mean, he elbowed him back, but it's still not a good look to be on your back getting elbowed in the head. That's why people think you lost the round.
And now what about this too? And listen, so Poirier, the people are pointing out that Poirier had his toes in the wall, in the chain,
The
and that's
cage.
how people to get out of the guillotine. What do you think about that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what the people that a lot of people
That's
bring that up.
definitely dirty. But Connor, I'm pretty sure, also grabbed Poirier's gloves
Yeah.
and his shorts for the up kicks and stuff. So that was dirty. But Conor McGregor is also dirty. I don't know if you saw in the Khabib fight. Connor needs Khabib in the head on
Uh-huh.
the ground,
Uh-huh.
like while he's on bottom, which is illegal. But Connor, he doesn't like being on his back. And I can imagine. I feel like I would probably, cheat too to not get fucking elbowed in the face while I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
But like that, yeah, I fuck Dustin Poirier for that. And, I don't blame Connor for grabbing his gloves. So I wanted to win. I wanted to win.
Here's my thing too. Did the fuckers that are, I agree with you. The fuckers that are saying it's a 10-8, you're out of your fucking mind. I respect Nicholas Bisping, champion, great guy. I like him a lot too. I like his shit talk.
Yeah,
But
I like him.
10-8, no way. I mean, listen, you could maybe, I'll listen to an argument saying that Poirier won that fight, sure. But it's a 10-9, easy money. It's not a fucking 10-8.
I think it's more reasonable that you say Poirier won that round. Like I say McGregor won that round.
Yeah.
I think it's more like kind of more reasonable to say that Poirier won that round. But I agree. 10-8, are you one crack? Like literally, are you one crack? In no universe is that a 10-8. A 10-8 is Khabib like sitting on you the whole fight and beating the shit out of you, ground and pounding. 10-8, a 10-8 is not, dominating on the feet and throwing some crazy elbows from guard off your back, all right? That's not a 10-8. That's not you don't do that in a 10-8. In 10-8, you go to sleep and you get dominated, okay?
And you die.
Not fucking 10-8.
Yeah. 100%.
Like this is the thing, because I hate when Conor McGregor loses because everyone thinks he's a scrub. He's absolutely not a scrub. He lost his last 2 fights, but he still looked fantastic. Like Wonder Boy. Like people, I don't think people are gonna count Wonder Boy out. They're not like, oh, Wonder Boy's washed because he lost this fight. No, he lost the fight and he still looked good in the fight.
Yeah.
Like it's not like he got dominated. McGregor did not get fucking dominated. Everyone thinks when he loses, he gets dominated. Okay, he did not get dominated. He got dominated in a couple Khabib rounds, absolutely. But this with Dustin Poirier, just because he throws some elbows from guard doesn't mean that he's fucking Khabib. Okay, just because he can throw some nice elbows, like some nice ground and pound, does not mean he's Khabib and he's dominating people. Okay, Dustin Poirier got rocked on the feet. Okay, Dustin Poirier looked good on the feet too, but Dustin Poirier got rocked on the feet. Okay, he was getting his shit slapped. Conor McGregor was winning that fight until he went down on his back for the guillotine. Okay, like. People don't like this happens a lot. Like even judges are doing this. Judges are retarded, but like judges will give out 10-8 rounds, which are completely like undeserved. And like this is totally one of those cases, except like the judges are the people. Like people think that when I'm repeating myself, but people think when Conor McGregor loses, he's a bum. He's absolutely not. Okay.
Yeah, and to reiterate, to the people that don't know exactly what a 10-8 is, I didn't know what a 10-8 is for a while. A 10-8 is an ass whipping. A 10-8 is you turn your opponent around, you pull his pants and you smack that to the next country. That's a 10-8. You murder this guy in a 10-8. That's like John Jones fighting an unranked guy and murdering him.
10 years ago, if you give someone out a 10-8, that's like embarrassing for the guy who lost that round. Is like, ooh, like is he okay?
Yeah,
like, people are worried about your health. Like people are embarrassed for you.
People are worried about your career. Like
people just throw them out now. Like act like it's like it's basically 10-9. It's one number away. Same shit.
Yeah.
Who took math? It's ridiculous. It's really ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like it sucks because McGregor's like kind of my favorite fighter, and then he just gets completely slandered and everyone acts like he's a bum when he's not.
Yeah. So where do you think he goes from here now? Because then, okay, so like I love Conor too, but here's my biggest problem is like the shit talking and like you watched it when he was doing the shit talking this last time with Poirier. It felt really, really forced. It felt really.
This was easily his worst shit talking performance, I'd say.
Especially because we're going off of like so when he fought Cerrone, like he was nice Conor, great, dabbing everyone up, no smack talking, like, oh, I got a great opponent here, I can't wait to fight, that kind of guy, PC, yada yada. Then he fights Poirier, again, similar thing, maybe a little back and forth, but nothing crazy, PC, normal guy. And then this time, it's like, when you look at it, you're like, okay, so you mean Conor? Like, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like he, like, you know what I mean? And now we got him sitting on the ground, and he's like, your wife sent me DM. Baby, hit me up later. Your wife sent me DM.
He called her a hoe. He's literally said, you little hoe. Like, he called her a hoe while he's fucking with a broken leg. I saw a comment about that on Instagram. Dustin Poirier could have came over and soccer kicked him in the face. Like that's what the position that Connor was in. And that's kind of why I like him because he, will still talk shit. He's
Yeah.
never really done this before, but like he's wild like that, But yeah, like
Where do you think he goes from here, though?
go ahead.
Where is the net? So like he's gonna sell a fucking like Connor's fighting.
He's not done. He's not done.
No.
Yeah. His name is not. His brand is not done.
Who is the next guy he fights though? Because he can't. They're saying Poirier 4, and like I'm like, okay, cool, like that's nice. I mean, I guess you could say maybe this fight doesn't count towards like a trilogy sort of thing, because like he fucking busted his ankle up.
Yeah, it was a weird ending.
But like, so you could maybe say that, but like, Poirier should probably go more towards a contention for the title.
So what I think is gonna happen. Well, just really quick, I think this is the worst outcome for this fight because there's like a lot of ambiguity. It was kind of like what happened was, I don't know if you saw, but like kind of what Anderson Silva did sort of like he kicked his hip and then he stepped back and like you could see that like it was not right after that. You could see like there was like a crack, whatever, like his leg wasn't right after that. And then so I think it was like kind of a legit like stoppage. Like it was a legit win by Poirier, sort of. It wasn't just like he stepped back on his ankle wrong and like that's what ended the fight. Like it wasn't like Poirier did nothing. So it's not like we haven't seen this before. Like Chris Weidman, won this way against Anderson Silva. But it obviously, like regardless, it is still like there's a lot of ambiguity. And that sucks for, because all right, let's say Conor wins. Obviously, we all know what that is. That's fantastic for the UFC. Everyone loves Conor. Let's say Poirier wins. That gives Poirier like a definite, like, I'm better than Conor. I just knocked him out again, submitted him, whatever. I just beat him again. And I'm better than him. I'm certified, like, the king at 155. I know Oliveira is the champion, but he's kind of like, Poirier is kind of the uncrowned champ.
Yeah.
But that gives Poirier more like momentum, and this is kind of like, I still think Poirier has momentum, but it kind of, maybe it saves McGregor a little bit, but it doesn't give either guy like a satisfactory ending.
No.
Like regardless of who lost or who won or who lost, like whoever won was going to have, some momentum coming out of this. And like, I think they were both robbed of that because, well, not robbed, sort of whatever, but they're deprived of that because, the way that it ended. But McGregor's suspended medically till next January. So I don't think Poirier is going to wait for, that long to fight, especially this is the height of his career easily. So I think he's going to fight Oliveira. I don't think he has a fight scheduled, Oliveira. So I think, this has been the plan that whoever wins this gets the title shot. But I would honestly, just being a Conor fan, I would like to see Conor Poirier 4.
Yeah.
In the future, like why not? Yeah. Like why not? But I think, so I think Poirier goes for the title, and then McGregor's out for a while. But a lot of people are saying Diaz 3, which I think is kind of appropriate. Do you?
I would love a Diaz 3.
Because I think it's like, I think you're gonna beat him. I think it's a lot of hype, and it's like the safest, most hyped up fight Conor could have.
Totally agree. Totally
so I think it's a good fight for him.
Dana could sell the shit out of that, and like then it also gives him like clout where it's like, oh, okay, cool, like he's beating Nate Diaz, like everyone, he's a household name, sort of. I mean, at least for UFC fans, a household name.
Definitely.
And like you could definitely be like, you could sell the shit out of that fight, and then you make a lot of money there, and then it's like, okay, cool, he beat Nate Diaz, and then let's say Poirier, like you said, wins and beats Oliveira's, then you could be like, maybe we go Diaz 4, or we go Poirier 4, and that's for the title. Does he deserve it? Probably not.
No.
But he's Conor. He's Conor, and it's Poirier 4.
Conor doesn't have to deserve anything.
Exactly.
Anymore. He kind of does because he gave everyone money. He boosted the company up a billion-fold. Yeah. So like people are like, oh, he doesn't deserve it. In a way, he does. But in my opinion, I would like to see, I like to see them branch off a little bit. I'd like to see McGregor get in, maybe the Diaz fight and maybe one or two more fights.
How much is
Let
there
them do
left
their
for him?
things.
He just turned 33 to this day, actually.
33 is like, I think that's like a decent fighting age. I think maybe 35, 34 is when it's like it's like that's when it's like, oh, this guy's getting old. But I think McGregor's like especially based on that performance, I think he's totally still got it. I don't know what his leg will look like. I don't know what that'll look like. I've heard that he can like recover fully, but I don't know shit. I'm not a doctor. Um, but
Well,
I
I'm not
think
a doctor either, but they do say that if you're gonna fuck your leg up, that's the way to do it. Just to get a clear break, a
yeah,
clean
because
break.
I think they just
Covers
stick a
better.
rod in it or something, right?
Yeah, it recovers better, and it's better than like tearing your ACL or something like that.
Yeah,
You
I can
can't
imagine.
fucking move, and it's like, like you know what I mean? Like you don't really
That's more
know.
complicated.
Technology's gotten way better with the ACL tears, but it's like you don't really it's not 100% you come back. Where it's like if you just clearly snap the bone in half, and again, I'm not a fucking doctor here, but you clearly snap the bone in half, like they say it's a better recovery, to be
That
totally honest.
makes sense. It seems like a more simple surgery. You just stick a rod in there instead of like
Yeah.
having to make a new ACL and like
Yep.
reattach it.
Yep. And then the
Um,
recovery is probably not that bad. Like I've broken my wrist with like a third grader, but whatever. I still like like I broke my wrist and like it sucked, but it was like okay, cool. Like you broke it, and it's just you get a cast, and then you just sort of go on with your life. Like it's not like a crazy thing.
and
I have no pain in my right wrist at all. Like there's nothing really different.
he's torn his ACL before too, and he made a complete recovery. Like
Yeah.
he still looks fantastic since then. So, maybe he's got super regenerative abilities or something. But I I like we don't know though, like because only time will tell. But I would personally like to see him fight Diaz, and I think the Diaz fight will be like a gauge because I think they can totally sell that fight, and then he'll come out and like we'll see how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like based off of that, maybe he'll retire, maybe he'll look good and he'll be able to move on.
Yeah.
But I would, one fight I would like to see. I think they'll probably do a rematch between him and Poirier, but I think that, like this guy and Poirier, not Connor. But I would like to see Connor fight Gaethje because
Ooh.
that's a big fight because Gaethje's a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
He's a pretty decent boxer. I don't know how technical he is compared to McGregor, but he's a heavy hitter, like he's a slugger. So that would be a sick fight to see.
Yeah, definitely, especially because, like Gaethje also lost to Khabib too, so like that could be a good fight for Gaethje as well to just sort of. I mean, obviously it's Khabib, so it's whatever. I mean, that was
Yeah,
Gaethje's last loss, right? Was probably
yeah, he hasn't fought since then.
yeah. So I mean, like you gotta understand, like it's fucking Khabib here, but like that would be great for Gaethje too, because if he could beat Connor, then it just only
That's
improves his
huge.
stock.
That is huge for Connor. Whoever if you fight Connor, if you lose to him, you get a lot of
Red
money. If you
panties
beat
night.
him, you get a lot of money and you get clout and
It's
you
red
get like
panties
up in
night.
the rankings.
It's red panties night.
So yeah. Um,
Now, listen, did you hear about this? How do you think Poirier feels about this? Being that he only made $1 million off of that, like just straight up purse. His purse is $1 million, not including the percentage that they make off the pay per views, but $1 million purse. And then fucking Connor made 20.
give me 20.
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
No,
Well,
again, it's Connor and his red panties night, but it's like, damn, like that's a lot.
I think that money should be. I think every like if you're on the main card and you have a decent name, like I think Burns and Thompson should have got $1 million. I think they should all be paid way more.
Yeah.
Because
Why
you
do they
literally
not?
have guys on the UFC roster who are like struggling to eat and shit.
Yeah.
Um, and I think Dana White should just pay them more in general. But like in that situation, to be 100% fair, I don't think Dustin has any leverage. And like obviously he beat him, but I don't think he could say, you know what, I want the same money as Connor. Because I think Dana's gonna laugh in his face and be like, "You're not Connor. Like you
Yeah.
beat him, but you're not Connor. Like you're not that guy. Not
Yeah.
that guy, pal. All right." So like,
You're not that guy.
I think it's unfair. Like I honestly, I think Conor McGregor should make more money. To be fair, but I think it's a little unfair that it's he's making. I don't know the math, like a fifth of whatever. Like he's making 19 million less dollars than the guy he's fighting.
Yeah.
So I think that's a little bit much. But I think they should all be paid more.
So
Like I think that's a big problem.
why aren't they all paid more? It's just because are they not making enough money? Like people are clearly watching this shit. So
No
like here's
way.
the thing, like why? So like Tyron will go into that like very soon. quickly, but why is Tyron? This is his biggest fight ever, money wise, and fucking not a single soul buys that fight. You
Yeah,
don't buy
literally.
you illegally stream that, and that's like
Mhm.
openly accepted, like that's being legally streamed. So like no one's buying that fight card, and people are buying the UFC fight cards like a lot.
Yeah.
So like, how the hell are these guys not making more money?
I think
Making more money?
it's like I think it's situational. Like I think Dana White like is in a good or the UFC in general is in a good position. They have like pretty much a monopoly over like the at least in the West of like mixed martial arts. Like you have one championship, but that's in Asia. Like that's an Asian thing.
Yeah,
Um, and you have Bellator, but nobody like on the street gives a fuck about Bellator or know that is. Can
yeah.
name I bet you like a normal fan couldn't even name a single Bellator fighter. Like you
I
might
can't.
be able to name like one.
I,
Yeah.
I
Maybe
can't.
like Yoel Romero just went there, so there you go.
Oh, okay, cool. If you name one, maybe
Yeah.
if you name one, maybe I'd be able to be like, oh yeah, Joe Rogan said something about that guy one time. Like that's a little,
Yeah, probably.
like, that's it.
But
I can't
obviously
name
like
a Bellator fight.
if you can't name them off the top of the head, they're not
No.
huge. Like you have to like watch the fights to know who they are. But the UFC is on ESPN and shit. It's like people are like, oh, do you do UFC? Like the sport is MMA, but they call it UFC. Like
Yeah.
that's how like big the UFC is. So I think they just have a monopoly. Because Dana White literally tells them like this is how he phrases it. He says this is an opportunity. Like he doesn't call it a job or anything. He's like, this is an opportunity, and if you don't want to fight here, like go somewhere else. You don't have to fight. So I think he's just like strong arming them because he has so much leverage. Because it's like literally, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go to Asia or you're gonna go to Bellator?
Yeah.
Like you're gonna go to the little beta boy league or you're gonna go hang out with like Asian people. I don't have anything against Asian people, but I don't think they make as much money in one championship as the UFC. I think the
Yeah.
UFC is gigantic. Um, so I think there's just a huge, disgusting monopoly. Like with a lot of things, in the world today, I think the UFC is a monopoly over whatever mixed martial arts, and I think the fighters don't have a lot of leverage. And I think a guy needs to, like John Jones stepped up and talked about his pay, but I think a guy like that, like McGregor, I don't think McGregor would ever do it, but like a big guy like that, a big name would have to be like, how, and instead of negotiating money for themselves, like, yeah, I want money, but I want everyone to get money,
Yeah.
like it would be, imagine Conor McGregor was like, I'm not going to fight anymore, or maybe it wouldn't work, but like, I'm not going to fight anymore unless you fucking pay everyone like a little bit extra.
Well, I don't
Do
know if
that.
that would necessarily work because it's like, okay, like yes, it's bad. He is UFC darling, but he's been gone for like
It
multiple
would
years.
that yeah, even that wouldn't work.
They need to like collectively as a group like form almost like a union
Yeah,
and then be like the NFL. The NFL is a union, the NBA is a union, so you need to form a union and be like, yo, we are not fighting for you, dude, unless we get a pay grade. And that would maybe change a lot. And I think it would just be overall good for the sport. I mean, you definitely would have guys that would be like, okay, I'm going to try to make this a career.
you would get more talent.
Yeah,
I
100%.
think you get so much more talent because you got like super athletic dudes going to like the NBA and the NFL because
Mhm.
that's where the money is.
Yeah,
But imagine you're like if you're on the main card, you make like $1 million a fight, like
yeah,
something like that. Like if you made more money, and they can absolutely do it. Like they can totally do. Like they sold the company for like $4 billion, like
yeah,
5 years ago, 6 years ago. Like
yeah.
imagine how much money they have now.
Oh, it's
Um,
like ridiculous.
so it's definitely doable. I think Dana White's got money. He could stop taking so much. He could take a pay cut. But I think it's a hard path to get to because the UFC
It
has
is.
so much leverage.
But if you think about it, the UFC is kind of like a relatively like newish league. Like, I mean, they're only 20 years old ish. You know what I mean? So you got to think about it. Like leagues go through this kind of thing. Like it's a new. They are like a league, and leagues go through these kind of things where it's like you grow, and it's like oh you're too big, but then also people aren't making enough money, so then they want to players unionize, and then there's the NHL. They go on strikes all the fucking time. Like in 2012, they
Yeah.
went on a strike. Yeah, like we're not playing, guys, and they just went on a strike, and they went over to like different leagues in like Europe and stuff like that. So things happen like this, and like players want to make more money, and listen, they are big. I think they're. I mean, I love the NHL, but they're probably big. UFC is probably bigger than the NHL.
Yeah.
I would say I'd feel comfortable
The
saying,
biggest of the UFC, like Conor McGregor, is bigger than the Stanley Cup.
yeah. I mean, I would not doubt it. Like, do you know who was in the Stanley Cup this year?
The Lightning and fucking the other guys.
There you go. You know what I
I
mean?
just don't pay attention to hockey though.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like that's just what it is. Like the UFC is. I would say it's creeping into like the top four leagues.
Yeah, it's maybe not as consistently as big as the NHL, but I think Conor McGregor is bigger than anything the NHL has to offer.
I wouldn't disagree with that. To be quite honest, I really wouldn't. Okay, so let's walk into we'll wrap this up. We've been going for a while, but this is good. We've got a lot of good stuff in here. Let's wrap this up with Tyron versus Jake Paul. And this comes out August 29th. So I don't know why the fuck they're doing shit talking now. I think that's stupid. But this comes out August 29th, and this is going to be immensely big because I've said that I hate Jake Paul. I really do. But I've been on record of saying that I think what Jake Paul has done has been borderline genius because Jake Paul,
Incredible.
so he fought that YouTuber. Oh, that was dumb, but it got him clout. It's like, oh, Jake Paul.
But he fought KSI's brother.
Yeah,
That's the first guy he fought. Imagine going from KSI's brother to a UFC champion.
Yeah,
and a US Olympian
all time.
in Penn.
Yeah. So then he fights the YouTuber. Oh, that was dumb. Then he fights Nate Diaz, and everyone's like, oh, no way he could be a professional athlete. But when you think about it, like Nate Diaz. Or not Nate Diaz. Robinson.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
He fights Nate Robinson, and it's like, oh, he's a professional athlete. But when you think about it, like Nate Robinson's like a basketball player, and he's an athletic guy.
A huge, like Conor McGregor said, that like it's not a sport. Like boxing is not it's a combat sport. It's a huge difference. You're not playing with balls,
Yeah, exactly. So then he does that, and then he gets a little more clout, and it's like, oh, he beat like a professional athlete. Like that's pretty impressive. And then he fights Ben Askren, who's a Bellator champion. He's a gold medal, like Olympic fighter. But when you really, I think you sit there again, you think about it. There's a little drawback to that. You're like, oh well, Ben Askren, he only was on the ground. He's only like a wrestler. He's not really.
He said he wouldn't train boxing and striking. He said he would literally only train wrestling.
Yeah, so like he's not big on that and stuff like that. So you really gotta sit there and think like, okay, cool, but like, wait a minute, he's also not that great of like a competitor either. But still, he beat him, and then it gets him more clout, and you're like, oh my god, what the fuck? He just beat all this guy's whole accomplishments. He just beat this guy. That's impressive. And now he's going into Tyron, and I'm sitting here, Kevin, and I'm thinking, if he beats him, I don't really have an argument against it. Like, I would think that's fucking impressive. If he could beat Tyron, that's pretty impressive.
I don't think there's any question about like if he beats him, it's impressive. I think that's like a huge feat. You literally go from beating KSI's younger brother in boxing to, one of the scariest UFC fighters ever. Like Tyron Woodley is a beautiful physique. And if you've seen some of his highlights, he's a scary man. He's super explosive and he's got crazy power. So if he beats him, I don't think there's any question about it that is impressive. I think it's just that if he's going to beat him,
Yeah, and then the only drawback that comes with Tyron, you can make the only argument for and if this does happen, everyone's going to say this, but like, so Tyron is old and is definitely out of
He hasn't looked good his last 4 fights.
No, he has not. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, but it's fucking Tyron Woodley. Like this guy, and yes, he's not a boxer per se. There is a different skill set to boxing and then UFC striking. But at the same time, it's like, I'm sure he can fucking do it. Like, I'm sure he can.
He knocked out Darren Till. Darren Till was like a Muay Thai guy. Darren Till was a striker.
Yeah. So like, listen, this is going to be something interesting. I will for sure watch it because it's definitely it's definitely going to be better than the Askren one. Which I watched the Askren one. First of all, Kevin, do not buy it.
I've seen that. Yeah. Anyone, do not buy it. Do not buy it. That's not the question.
Do not buy it. Dude, I was on YouTube and it was being streamed on YouTube. So like, do that before you fucking buy it. Like, it was the biggest waste of my money I've ever. I didn't spend money on it, and I still thought like, wow, this is a waste of money. Like, it's the biggest waste of my time of all time because I legitimately was like sitting there, and it was more like a concert, and then like a couple shitty fights.
That's the thing about the trailer. If you saw the Mike Tyson fight, it was all fucking performances. There's more performances than fights. It was, and it was terrible people. I think they had like Snoop Dogg, and like even that wasn't good. It was just he was just a big.
I guess there's
everyone sucked.
Snoop Dogg and his friends, they made like a new rap group. It's ridiculous. So I definitely think that this is gonna be probably really big. If he loses, I'm shitting my pants. I do not know what I'm doing if he loses.
The one like worry I have, like with like the one like with Ben Askren, like he couldn't really box. He never really boxed. Yeah, he's a pro athlete, pro fighter, but he's never really boxed. And the thing
Yeah.
about Tyron, he's a dangerous boxer. You know, like he's come from a wrestling background. Him and Ben Askren are like close friends. I think they went to college together. But like, you know, he's looked like an absolute bum his last 4 fights. Maybe not his last fight. And obviously he was fighting killers, like the toughest men in the world, like the most dangerous hand-to-hand fighters in the world.
Yeah.
But he got absolutely babied.
Yeah.
So that's the only worry for me. And he's getting a little bit older. But I don't think it's that big of a deal because he was fighting, you know, Kamaru Usman. You know, he's fighting Gilbert Burns, fighting Colby Covington, literally the 3 best guys in the division. He lost to them and he was fighting them. But like that's the thing. He's fighting these guys who are like atmospheres, whatever, not even the same stratosphere as Jake Paul and anybody Jake Paul has fought.
Yeah.
So I think that like he's still, I still think he's gonna win because he's still like, I don't know if you saw like there was a video of some guy in a bar and like he was acting like a dick and like some professional fighter walks by him and he like, you know, gets in the professional fighter's face and the guy just 2 punches and the guy is literally on the floor.
Yeah.
Like people don't understand that like, you know, like I can fix my toilet, let's say like my toilet has a problem, I can fix it in like 15 minutes maybe, but you get a plumber over here, he's literally going to snap his fingers and that shit's done. All right.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with Tyron Woodley. Maybe Jake Paul can beat up Nate Robinson, Ben Askren, who doesn't box, but can Jake Paul out plumb a plumber? You know, that's the question. I don't think he can. I don't think that Jake Paul can fight fires better than a firefighter. All right. Even though like it's, you know, it's like one aspect of fighting, like that Tyron Woodley has never like competed in professionally.
Yeah.
Like, but I still think, you know, he's not going to beat this man at what he does and what he's been doing for his entire life. And it's not even that, it's a professional athlete on top of a professional fighter. Like that Tyron Woodley, you put him in football, I think he makes a great football player. He's super explosive. If you've seen the guy, he is terrifying.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't think I think that this is, you know, I think this is the one for Jake Paul. If Jake Paul beats him, will be blown away. My jaw will drop.
Yeah.
I could have seen Ben Askren losing. But I don't really see Tyron Woodley losing, and like my jaw will literally hit the floor if he wins, which is the great part about this because like we don't really know. I mean, we do know, and we thought we knew with Ben Askren, but we didn't.
Yeah.
So like, you know, Jake Paul's making his question now. This is the thing. He's a good marketer. All right. Like I'm questioning. It's Jake fucking Paul, and I don't know if he's gonna win against Tyron Woodley. That's like the scary thing.
Marketer. Listen, I think he's a dickhead, but all-time marketer, dude.
People think McGregor's a dickhead, and he, you know.
Yeah, but we like
the UFC.
But yeah, 100%, 100,000%. I would be, like I said, you're right. My mouth to the ground.
The fact that we're questioning it is like the thing. That's the genius of it, you know.
Great point.
And the point of being a UFC fighter is that like you wouldn't like nobody would question you beating somebody in a fight.
Yeah.
Like that is not a UFC fighter. And Jake Paul has made us like, you know, he's made us doubt that.
Yeah, and you're right too at that point. Like professional athletes, like people really don't get like the level. Like so, Brian Scalabrine.
Oh yeah,
he's kind of like a meme. You know what? He's like the Red Mamba and everything. Like he's like a white guy who's
the worst basketball player ever.
Yeah, they all make fun of yada yada stuff like that. Kind of a goat, like as far as like the meme goes, but people were making fun of him. So pretty much what happened was, I don't even know the story, but he was at a high school and a bunch of high schoolers were like making fun of him, saying like, "Oh, you're a bum, you're a bum." And he's like, "Okay, cool, like let's play." So he literally played this kid, and like again, a couple years out of his career or whatever, he's like in his like later 30s or maybe early 40s.
I think in his 40s.
Smoke this kid, like 11-0. It wasn't even close. Like the kid didn't even score a bucket, and he just. So you really don't get like the level of like professional athlete. Like there is another level.
He was in an interview afterwards. Like I think he talked about it, and he was like, "Yeah, like I may suck compared to like Kevin Garnett and like everyone else in the NBA, but I don't suck compared to you. Like you suck compared to me. I'm in the NBA. I suck in the NBA, but that still means like a lot if you get to there.
No,
so he sucks compared to like, you know, Kobe, but he doesn't suck compared to you." That's the thing. Is Tyron Woodley, like I was just saying, like he's maybe, I'm not going to say he sucks, but he got dominated against Woodley or Usman. But like, you know, that's like that's Usman. Like
Yeah.
that's another pro. Jake Paul is not another pro. You
And
know.
and also too, you got to understand like Woodley when he fought Usman, that was a couple years ago now, but like he was on a little bit of the tail end, you could say, a little bit of
Yeah.
the tail end of his career. Like it wasn't his prime or anything like that. Not taking anything away from Usman, he dominated Woodley. And I remember me and you were watching that, and you were like, "Dude, prepare for a show. Like this is gonna be crazy." But
Yeah.
the opposite, it was Usman gave a show. So, but you're right, 100%. Like Woodley is on another level of human being that like I don't think Jake Paul can get to. And if
Yeah,
he
he's literally a different kind of human being. Like you know how like Steve, like you take like fucking like Bill Nye, not Bill Nye, he's not a scientist, but like
Neil deGrasse
you
Tyson,
get like a real fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson, and you're like, yo, go do like we're gonna have a physics competition. He's
yeah,
gonna beat your ass, all right?
yeah,
Like Tyron Woodley is sort of Neil deGrasse Tyson of like
yeah,
athletes, but
100%.
he is gifted.
Yeah,
He's not just been doing this his whole life. Like regardless, he's gifted. Like he is a physical gift, and he's been working on it his whole life. You know,
100%. Like hard work, yes, comes into it, but and you could put like Jake Paul could do all the work. He could work for
you
24
you
hours, 7 days a week. But at a certain point, like there does come to this next level where it's like, oh, there's just gift. There's just a talent. Like there's just something that God gave you that
if
you
you
can.
take Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley and make them train the exact same for the exact same amount of time, Tyron Woodley's going to come out on top just because he's a naturally gifted athlete.
100%. So, all right. Do you have any last points before we wrap this up? We went for a while, but this was a lot of good stuff was in this. I really enjoyed this. You got anything else?
Yeah, it was just a mess of a card just for me. I'm glad Greg Hardy lost, but besides that, I'm really disappointed with how the last two fights turned out. But
Yeah.
good for those guys. They got families to feed. And it was as disappointing as it was a pretty eventful card. So, I can't complain, but
Brings
looking forward
eyes.
to the next one.
It brings eyes. I definitely see a lot of like big time people talking about it, like journalists, stuff like that. It brings eyes to the sport. It's only
Yeah, definitely.
so
Let's see what's next. Oh, Derek Lewis is next. He's the next card. Michael Chiesa's fighting Vincente Luque.
oh, okay.
Um,
So that goes out with mine.
August 7th. So maybe he will not fight Wonder Boy. So I don't know. We'll see.
We'll have to check on
We'll see.
that.
I just didn't know that.
Okay. All right, great, Evan. All right, anything else before we wrap this up?
No, that was a good one. Good
Perfect.
card.
All right, we're gonna call this an episode 2, guys. I hope you guys enjoy, and you'll see us next week. Peace.